When you go down the steps into the natural limestone cave of Stump Cross Caverns, you enter a strange, quiet and a rather beautiful place, completely different to the world above ground. What you may not realise is that at the same time, it's almost like you are making a journey back through time, through history, while many generations have lived and have died. This cavern has changed very little through thousands upon thousands of years. Can you imagine, for instance, that the Yorkshire Dales, the very area where you are now sat, once looked something like this? It's surprising, isn't it? Nevertheless, 350 million years ago, long before man appeared on the planet, this part of the Earth's surface lay beneath a warm tropical sea, almost thousands of miles away, somewhere near the equator. It was discoveries like this that made scientists realise what enormous changes our world has been through. These are what we call fossils. These remains found buried deep in rock are from the bones of dinosaurs, those huge, sometimes fierce creatures who roamed our planet long ago. But the limestone rock that is all around you in the depths of Stump Cross Caverns is older, far older than the dinosaurs. There are fossils in the limestone rock too, but not of dinosaurs. These are the remains left by seashells, and this the remains of coral, from a coral reef rather like the one we saw. And it was when they found those that the scientists realised that this rock came from the bottom of a tropical sea. Under that sea, the remains of those living coral reefs slowly formed a chalky layer on the seabed. What is even more amazing is that that very chalky layer has moved thousands of miles north, pushed up into the hills, and changed to become the rock that is all around you in the depths of Stump Cross Caverns, and that we call limestone. There is limestone all around you in the Yorkshire Dales. It creates a very special landscape, and it's like no other rock. One thing above all others makes this rock very special. The rain that falls upon it is able to slowly eat away at it, dissolve it, and so slowly open up any cracks and weaknesses within it. You can really see the effect on these limestone pavements above Malham Cove. The rainwater has so opened up the cracks in the rock that the surface is covered with deep holes, and you need to take great care walking across it. But underground, the effects are even more dramatic. The rainwater is able to sink deep into the rock, finding new ways to travel underground from the hillside where the rain fell, down to the valley below. And as it does, it opens up the cracks even more, and gradually cave passages and underground streams are formed. Like some of you, these children will be visiting the cave for the first time in their lives. What they know about caves comes from stories and films, and perhaps they think of them as rather scary places. We asked some of them what they thought about caves before they came.
They're dark, and sometimes they can have avalanches.
Holes? Where are the holes going to lead to?
Somewhere spooky.
Somewhere spooky.
They crawl through them to see what's in them and stuff. Bats, rats, bears and wolves, monsters. Some water drips off and makes it longer, and like 5 centuries on, they're really long.
So these children have learned that caves are not as frightening a place as some of them thought. But they may be surprised to know that the first people to enter these caves were not cave explorers, but lead miners. About 150 years ago, these hills were a busy place where hundreds of miners worked deep underground, searching for lead. It was a very hard life, both above and below ground. These men were mostly poor, the work was hard, and they often died young. But they always dreamed that if they happened to find enough lead, they might get a little bit richer. The conditions in which they worked underground were cold, wet, and muddy. They had to tunnel a long way through the solid rock to reach where the lead should be, and when they got there often wasn't any. So when in 1858, beneath a hill known as Stump Cross, miners broke into cave passages where the lead should be, they were bitterly disappointed. But these caverns were special. The stalactites and stalagmites were particularly beautiful, and the passages not too difficult. Added to that, the cave was not very deep underground, and it lay close to the main route which crossed the moors to Pateley Bridge. Miner William Newbold had an idea. He would make an easy entrance into the caves, make pathways, and take the public into the caves for 1 shilling per person. Since that time, thousands upon thousands of visitors like you have visited these caves to experience this dark world and look at the beauty of the stalactites and stalagmites. Now, with the comfort of concrete pathways and electric lighting, it's perhaps difficult to imagine what it was like when first revealed by the light of that flickering candle. But how were such beautiful formations formed? Thousands of years ago, the passages that you visit in Stump Cross Caverns would have been full of water, as an underground river carved out these passages, but the climate changed and the river disappeared. Now, instead of the roar of that river, there was only the drip, drip, drip of water from the roof. And as each drop hung for a few moments there in the darkness, tiny crystals formed within it. A tiny amount of the limestone that had been dissolved in the water as it went through the rock was left behind with each drip, and stalactites and stalagmites began to form.
Alright, you two, let's have a look up here. Can you see the water dripping through the ceiling of the cave? Well, inside those little droplets is something called limestone. And the limestone drips down. You can see it dripping, can't you now? I'm landing on you. And it forms this hanging from the ceiling called a stalactite. And this stalactite here takes thousands and thousands of years. Now, there's still water dripping down here, landing on the floor. When it lands on the floor, again, limestone within the water builds up, and over thousands and thousands of years, a stalagmite forms. And this is a stalagmite down here. Just behind us here, we can see something called a curtain. And if you just look in front of the curtain here, you can see how a curtain is actually formed. The water drips through the ceiling of the cave again and leaves limestone in a ridge shape, in a curved shape. And this bit at the front is just the first part of the curtain. You can see also the colours within the curtain shape, all different colours. And that's because the water drips through the ceiling through lots of different types of rocks and leaves behind different colours. And you can see also the way that the curtain is growing out, because the water's dripping down the edge, down the side of the curtain here, and it's bringing it out and it's growing out to form that arc and that curved shape. So that's called a curtain.
In the 1970s, work was underway digging up the floor to open up this new section of the cave to the public. As the old stalagmite floor was dug away, bones were discovered beneath it, and archaeologist Thomas Lord was brought in to examine them. They were found to be the bones of a wolverine, about the size of a small dog. It is an animal that now only lives in colder climates. How long it had stayed alive in the cave, we will never know. But it was not something you'd want to meet round a dark corner. There have been other animal bones discovered in the cave. None of these animals live round here now, but perhaps very long ago they fell down an open hole, were trapped, and died within the cave. Of course, the cave that you see is only a small part of the known cave of Stump Cross Caverns. There are many more passages that only experienced cavers can visit. Down beneath the show cave, the present stream is finally reached. Now in most weather, there is only a trickle, where once a large underground stream flowed. And new passages are being discovered all of the time. Some of the most recent were found by Jeff Workman, who was then over 70 years old. He had then already been associated with the cave for many years. In 1963, he set a world record by staying alone in the cave for a total of 105 days. It was an experiment to find out how the body reacted without the daily rhythms of day and night time. Opening a new section of the cave is a big undertaking. A few years ago, another new section, Reindeer Passage, was opened up. Until then, it had only been possible to reach it by crawling. To remove the vast quantities of rock, a shaft had to be sunk from the surface. Finally, the lights were switched on for the first time, and the cave was ready to open to the public. People have been going into Stump Cross for a very short time compared to the long history of these caverns. But unless we take care, nature's work over many thousands of years could be spoiled in a very short time. It's sad, but the public have to be kept at a distance from the more delicate features of the cave. Souvenir hunters and sheer vandalism have already spoiled many of the formations that are within reach. In the known cave, there are corners that few know about, that remain unmarked and pure in their dark, quiet world. And under this hill, there may remain even more wonders waiting to be discovered that we can only dream about. Perhaps the glimpse that Stump Cross offers into this dark and delicate world will make us respect the wonders of the natural world that we find all around us.